Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome to everyone's favorite show about plastic surgery, health, and beauty. This is Nip Talk. On today's episode, first off, the top 5 worst medical inventions. This is going to be pretty good. There's some crazy stuff on here. And then a new ear filler trend coming out of Asia. This one's pretty wild. And then finally, Pam Bondi, plastic surgery rumors. We're going to break it down for you, and it's all coming up right now.
Live from Lincoln Center in the heart of the Dallas Metroplex, this is Nip Talk. An honest and uncensored show about plastic surgery, health, beauty, and lifestyle with your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann, and your co-host, entrepreneur and social media influencer Sarah Bennett. Now it's time to discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the topics everyone is talking about. It's time for Nip Talk.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. I'm your host, plastic surgeon Dr. Bruce Hermann. And with me today is not Sarah because she had some issues at her house like this morning and couldn't make it. But my good friend Robert Dressel is standing in. He's been on the show before.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Robert, for joining us. Yeah.
Jump in.
In the box, we got Trelvis.
Hey,
what's up, man?
What's happening? What's happening?
We got the all-boys show today as we talk about topics mostly focused around women. I don't know, like,
I guess so.
We're off the rails already.
Getting in some trouble today.
We're going to get in trouble.
Yeah. Always. Yeah. We'll throw some football, maybe. National championship.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't know a ton of. Oh, yeah, national championship coming up. Yeah. Our team lost. Well, I don't know if it's our team. Our state team.
There you go. Yep.
Lost. Yeah, I was really bummed about that. Yeah, I almost went to the game. Did you go, Trey? Did you say you were going to that?
No. I did not. I did not.
Maybe.
You know what's funny? I was actually in a hotel because it snowed down here. And I was in a hotel, and it was full of nothing but OU and Texas fans.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was across the street from where they played it.
Oh, you were in Arlington?
Yeah, it was in Arlington.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but, man, the tickets were, insanely expensive. And then, the weather hit, and it was, snowing that day.
Sure.
We're kind of last-minute people. We actually talked about just, heading down there and getting tickets, off a market right when the game starts, when the ticket prices fall. Yeah. But then with the bad weather and stuff,
I'm actually doing that. I'm gonna try that this weekend.
Oh, are you?
With a concert, yes.
Dude, it works, man. Well, so if you haven't done this, you do want to make sure that there's still a decent number of tickets out there.
Okay.
Because there was one time that we did it where it worked perfect, and we literally got second-row tickets for, face value, which is unheard of off the second marketplace. Yeah. But then another time we went to go see something, and there just were, not a lot of tickets, and so I ended up buying them, earlier because I felt like that there probably wouldn't be any.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I'm interested to see how that works for you.
I'm gonna try it.
We've done it a couple times, and it's worked out good.
Okay,
because you can get. They're deeply discounted because people would rather get something than nothing.
Of course.
What is it you're going to go see?
So there's a gentleman coming by the name of Rod Wave.
Okay.
He's going to be at the American Airlines Center. So
oh, nice.
I was going to try to see if maybe the day of they were a little cheaper or something.
Well, that's a huge venue. So if that, I don't know who that person is, but if they're not insanely popular, there's definitely going to be tickets.
Yeah, sure.
So you could probably get some at the last minute.
I will let you know.
Yeah. There is a show that I'm going to go see this year. AC/DC is touring again, and I've never seen them. And I have to see them just because I love music so much. And I've never seen AC/DC, but I'm sure I'm going to pay a lot for those tickets.
Yeah.
They're not going to be cheap.
It'll be worth it, though.
It'll be worth it. I mean, they're iconic, right?
The other T-shirt, right?
Sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, and it's I'm sure they're not quite as good as they were 20 years ago, but, just to say you saw them.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump into some segments. I got a pretty funny one to start out, and this is typically one I'd put at the end, but I liked it so much I put it at the beginning.
Good. Started off fun.
So we're gonna start out fun. No, we don't have any a lot of times we have very serious, almost depressing segments, but and it's good because you want to educate people. But today it's kind of fun stuff. So, all right. Well, I was surfing social media looking for things to do for the show, and I saw this post about this insane medical invention that somebody came up with, and it was so hilarious. I was like, I'm making a whole segment about this, and I'm saving that one to the last, but we are going to do the top 5 worst medical inventions according to me, I guess. I mean, I don't know, these are definitely debatable, but I just kind of picked some of the ones that I thought were kind of just crazy. So, all right, anyone here ever heard of a tobacco smoke enema?
I mean,
They get worse.
The imagination
Dude,
there.
I even got a picture. So don't worry, it won't get as bad. Throw the picture tray. The tobacco smoke enema machine. Look at it. It's got the bellows.
Wow.
It's got some tubes of varying diameters. I don't have a video of somebody actually using this.
Thank God you don't have that video. We might get struck down.
So this was actually popular in the 16 and 1700s in Europe and North America, and obviously, as you can imagine, involved putting large amounts of tobacco smoke into the rectum using the bellows and tube there. And it was thought that tobacco smoke had warming, which obviously smoke's warm, and stimulating properties. But kind of the craziest thing about this is, like, I mean, if you guys can guess the number one use for this, I will buy you a steak dinner every month for the next year. Give it a shot. The number one treatment, the number one problem that a tobacco smoke enema was used. Go.
Pregnancy.
No, Trey. Anything?
Earaches.
Almost, but not really. Drowning victims.
Gosh.
People that were drowned.
I mean,
Drowning victims.
It's a natural product, tobacco. It
Yeah,
has
so
some
obviously you're gonna put it up
healing,
your butt. I mean,
medicinal, yeah. Rectum.
Dang near killed him, right? Drowning victims. Also, if you had a cold or a hernia or typhoid or cholera, a tobacco smoke enema was a very popular therapy for that.
Okay.
Yeah. Eventually, they figured out that this did not work. And have you guys ever heard the expression "blowing smoke up your ass"? That is where this came from.
No.
That is, dude. We've come full circle, man. We're like,
I always want to know where they come from.
I know, right?
The whole 9 yards and this.
Do you
and
know
that.
the whole 9 yards?
I've heard a couple of things. Concrete, but then the airplane bullets.
Yeah, the airplane bullets.
Yeah, the airplane bullets.
Yep.
I always want to know the
Have you heard
origin.
have you heard that expression, the whole 9 yards, Trey?
I have. I've
So
heard it before.
allegedly, in World War II, the belts of machine gun bullets were 27 feet long or 9 yards, and so if they fired their entire magazine or clip or
Right.
what is it, belt into another airplane, they gave them the whole 9 yards.
9 yards.
Allegedly.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Allegedly, I don't know if that's true, but all right. So tobacco smoke enemas. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pass on that. I mean,
if anybody wants to give it a shot, DM the show. We'll
please
set
don't.
it up.
No,
Dr.
please
Hermann
don't
will do
do
it in
that.
his office, and we'll see.
It could be like a new thing, bringing it back. I think
mean-
people actually like died from nicotine poisoning from this. Like there were people croaking
Well-
from. But I guess if they're already dead from drowning, it's like
We have beer bath. Why not tobacco?
That's right. That's right.
So-
All right, let's move on. These get progressively worse. Okay, bloodletting. I'm sure you guys have heard of this one, right? Bloodletting. So this was back in the 1700s. It was thought that when people got sick, that if you drained some blood from them, that they would get better. So they
Get the bad stuff out.
Yeah, right. The bad humors, right? So they would cut a vein or use leeches to remove the blood to fix imbalances. And this was obviously bad because removing blood is generally not a good thing, with one exception, which I'll bring up at the end. But there was actually a super famous person that died from bloodletting.
Oh, gosh.
Anyone know? I actually know this. I don't know how I knew this, but so the most famous person who died from bloodletting was George Washington.
Oh, wow.
He got something. I can't remember what he had, and they said, okay, well, we're gonna like drain some of your blood because obviously that's gonna make you better.
Yeah,
and he
good
died.
idea.
He died from that. Yeah.
Well, I know they still use leeches. Like
Yes,
in the
that's
lab
it.
and
Yeah, so
that
I was
sort of
gonna
thing.
say, so
even in your world with healing
I've
wounds.
actually used leeches.
Nice.
So the one aspect that's kind of most commonly used for leeches is when you do like a flap. So when you're moving tissue from one place to the other, sometimes those flaps will get engorged with blood because it's easier for blood to get in than out.
Right.
And if they get too engorged, it'll actually kill the flap. So I've used medical grade leeches, put the leeches on there to pull the blood out until the blood flow gets reestablished, and then you can take them off.
Right. That's awesome. I just remember Stand By Me with the leeches.
Dude, I have a funny story about the leeches. Like, so when I was a fellow, we had a flap and it had leeches on it. And so the patient had a broken leg and it had a cast on, but they made a little hole where the flap was, and we saw it was engorged, and so we put leeches on it. So I get a call at like 2 a.m, and they were like, Yeah, the leeches that were on the flap fell into the casts, and I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do about that?
Get a coat hanger? I don't know.
I was like, shine a flashlight at the hole and see if the leech will come to the light. I was just like, grasping at straws here. I was like, see if you can figure it out, but if you can't, call me back. And they called me back 30 minutes later, and they were able to fish it out with some tweezers or something.
Nice.
I was just like, what a random call. All right, let's move on to, we always talk about Ozempic, so let's talk about what came before Ozempic. And that would be tapeworm diet pills. And I got a picture of that right here. This is an ad for tapeworm diet pills. Banish that fat with sanitized tapeworms, jar packed. Friends for a fair form, as it says right there.
Yeah.
And they're also easy to swallow.
And she looks healthy and
look
thin,
at her,
of
man.
course.
She looks awesome.
Yeah.
So this was popular in the late 1800s, early 1900s. It was basically pills that had tapeworm eggs in it. And the thought process was if you gave yourself tapeworms, they'd absorb all the nutrients and you wouldn't absorb them and you'd get skinny.
Well.
And it actually works very well. People were getting malnourished.
Of course.
Then the unfortunate thing was when the tapeworms got big, they would get intestinal blockages.
Mm-hmm.
They did, this is good smart marketing because you would take the tapeworm pills and you had to buy another pill to get rid of them.
Of course.
Right? So that's smart, good marketing by the tapeworm pill people. Obviously, this is really bad. People were getting all kinds of infections and blockages, and like the tapeworms would get into their organs and lay more eggs. I mean,
I can imagine.
This is just badness. Like, just please don't take tapeworms to get skinny.
No, bad idea.
No, I mean, it's funny you joke about. I've actually joked about that, like in the past, when people talk about, I'm gonna lose weight. Oh yeah, we just take a tapeworm. Have you ever heard of that, or is that just a medical thing? Because I'm weird. You never joked about taking tapeworms?
Yeah,
No.
Or something weird like that, and you're like, yeah, no, I would never do that. So
yeah. So that one's a really bad idea. All right, let's move on to one that's just as bad. How about radium therapy? Like taking radioactive substances. I think I got a pic here of Radiathor, which was certified radioactive water that you could drink. Yeah, that's a good one. So radium is a radioactive element that emits alpha, beta particles, and gamma rays. It has a very mysterious glowing property. Throw up that next pic, Trey. This is what radium looks like. Yeah, so obviously I'm going to eat that stuff because it glows in the dark. It's probably good for me, right?
It looked like powdered Mountain Dew.
that's exactly what it is.
It looked like powdered Mountain Dew.
Oh my God.
Powder Dew.
Do you snort it? Do you drink it? I don't know. What do you do with it? You give yourself an enema with it? I'm not sure.
I hope not.
So they did figure out that radium kills cancer. Right? Because we use radiation therapy even today.
Yeah, today.
So they're like, well, if it kills cancer, obviously it's going to be really good for you. It's
going to kill everything.
It's going to kill everything. So they marketed this stuff called Radiathor to treat arthritis, gout, tuberculosis, cancer, fatigue, and impotence. Yeah, impotence. It was like the Viagra of its day. Unfortunately, it's very bad for you.
Right.
There was a very famous person at the time named Eben Byers who didn't get super famous because he died from drinking Radiathor. His jaw fell off. Yeah, it was bad. Really bad.
I can only imagine.
Really bad. Please don't take radium. I mean, it's good for killing cancer, but okay, I think that's where we got to stop it. All right, now, the coup d'etat, the best.
So before the coup d'etat, I mean,
I don't know if it's really a coup d'etat, but I couldn't come up with a better word.
But some of these, I guess the FDA wasn't involved.
Oh yeah, these are all. These are all pre-FDA. Yeah, this is. I mean, say what you want about the FDA, they're not letting tapeworm pills be released. So I
think that's a good call.
I think that one's a good call.
Yeah,
but this one. This is awesome. So I don't want to ruin it. So I'm just going to show the video. This is what spawned this whole segment.
Perfect.
Trey, wind that thing up.
This table was designed to help women give birth easily, and it's based on a patent filed in 1963. First, the pregnant woman is strapped onto the table, lying on her back. When labor begins, the table spins at a calculated speed, theoretically using centrifugal force to assist in delivering the baby. The table's speed can reach up to 8G, which is equivalent to forces experienced by pilots during high-speed maneuvers in fighter jets. The speed of rotation is adjusted dynamically depending on the mother's progress and the baby's position. This force is intended to assist the uterus in pushing the baby out naturally by supplementing the mother's own efforts. At the base of the rotating table, a soft cushioned receptacle or net is installed to catch the baby safely once it is expelled. The receptacle is designed to absorb the impact and gently cradle the newborn, preventing any injuries. The system features a bell that signals when the baby has been delivered, especially in case medical personnel are momentarily distracted. Once the baby is delivered, the table is stopped and the mother is unstrapped. The newborn is immediately taken for standard post-delivery medical checks. The apparatus includes a manual and automatic stop function to halt the rotation immediately if complications occur. The system limits the maximum rotation speed to avoid excessive forces that could harm the mother or the baby. The concept was developed by George and Charlotte Blonsky, a childless husband and wife duo with no medical background. George Blonsky, a mining engineer, and his wife were inspired during a visit to a zoo, where they observed an elephant giving birth. They noticed the elephant moved in a circular, almost spinning motion before delivering its calf. This behavior intrigued them and sparked the idea that centrifugal force could assist childbirth. Although the U.S. government awarded them a patent in 1965, their invention remained a theoretical concept and was never implemented in medical settings for reasons you can easily guess.
All right, guys, what do you think?
Oh
my God.
I mean,
Well,
I have a couple of favorite parts of that. If it's okay
please,
to share.
please jump in there, man.
First thing, the baby went and it hit its head on the thing, like the table. But then, like the bell ringing is awesome. It's like Wonderful Life.
In case you get distracted.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask. What would the medical staff be distracted doing while she's giving birth?
Maybe by all the fluids getting sprayed everywhere.
I guess.
Every time a bell rings, a baby is born instead of Angel gets his wings. Oh my!
Did you notice the guy in the hazmat suit? I mean, at first you're like, "Why is he wearing a hazmat suit?" And then you remember that there's like a lot of fluids coming out whenever babies are born.
He had on gargles and everything.
Dude, what the hell?
Amazing.
Dude, I have a better question though. Is like, can we use that thing for like constipation? You think? I mean, if you're really constipated, we slap you in the machine. And like,
absolutely.
And then they had a manual stop on it.
Wait, no, it's going too fast.
I mean, what if the baby's halfway and they stop? I mean,
also, I want to give an award to whoever made that infographic because somebody spent a lot of time to make that thing.
Yeah,
it's like epic.
It was long.
I think the guy's name was on the end of it. I'm gonna look him up.
Right.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So I guess this was kind of maybe an honorable. I don't think they actually made that machine.
No, it said that at the end.
I feel like they should have. I mean,
that would have been amazing.
Oh my god!
And then it was subtle in there, but they said, they actually never had children. And then one of the graphics said it was signed by attorneys, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
The attorney signed off on
the patent.
Allegedly, that's a real patent. Which, I guess a lot of stuff get patented and never get created.
The patent's up by now, surely.
We could reinvent. I think we should do it, though, but we'll do it for constipation. I think that would be better. I feel like the baby thing is like a little unsafe, the net and the bell.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they talked about, catching the baby. It's like, okay, I get it. Maybe.
It should have been a butterfly net, though. That would have been just maybe not as safe, but just cooler.
Right.
A big maybe there was a person with a butterfly net and except they'd have to be spinning too. I don't know how you would do that, but yeah.
Fun.
So crazy stuff. The centrifugal force spinning birth table spawned a whole segment, and I'm here for it. I loved it.
What else?
All right. Let me recap this disaster. So today on Nip Talk, we were talking about the 5 worst medical inventions, and these were pretty bad. So tobacco smoke enemas, a couple hundred years ago, if you were a drowning victim, they would fire up a bellows and blow tobacco smoke into your rectum, which actually did not save you from drowning. It took them several decades to figure out that this didn't work, but it did spawn the saying of blowing smoke up your ass, meaning something doesn't really work. Next was bloodletting, cutting veins to get the evil humors out. This was really popular in the 1700s, and a very famous person died from it, George Washington, our first president. Next was tapeworm diet pills. Take some tapeworms. It's the Ozempic of the 17 and 1800s. You take some tapeworms, they eat all the food for you. Sounds great, right? Well, no, not really, because the tapeworms would give you malnourishment, intestinal blockage, because tapeworms can get 20 feet long, and then they would get into your organs and generally kill you. So that was a bad one too. Next was radium therapy, drinking radioactive substances. Someone figured out that radiation kills cancer, what it does, and thought that, hey, maybe it'd be a good idea to drink radiated water. It's not a good idea. That will also kill you very fast. And then finally was the spinning birth table. This was a patent made to help women deliver babies by spinning them very fast on a table with a net to catch the baby. Fortunately, this was just patented and never created, but you should definitely check out the video that we had of this theoretical device. It was pretty crazy.
Yes,
so,
professional video. Absolutely.
Good one. Yeah, I have to say, the person who made that video, hats off.
Yeah.
I wish I had that skill. All right, let's talk about something only slightly more serious. No, this is more serious. But not like serious, like depressing. This is just a little bit more on topic. So, we've talked about filler fatigue. Robert, you weren't here. I think a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the trends for 2025. And one of the things was filler, because you've seen the people with the huge lips and like the giant cheeks, like Madonna had that going on. And I think there's a trend lately to get more subtle filler. And so people were predicting that filler was going to downtrend. I don't think filler is going to go away at all. I do think the trend will be for more what they call invisible procedures, where it just makes you look better. It doesn't look like it. So, well, anyway, just to counteract that, a new article came out talking about a new filler trend. This is a new ear filler trend that's coming out of mostly Asia, China and South Korea, and it's kind of wild actually. And before I dive into this one, I will say that ear filler is not unheard of. It is used in the United States. In fact, I've done it a couple of times in 15 years. The two reasons that we use ear filler in the United States, which I think are fairly legitimate, although kind of niche reasons. The first one is as you get older, and I mean, not older like 40, 50, but like 70s or more, it is common for the earlobes to kind of deflate.
Right.
Yeah, and so that can look like you're more aged, and so I've used filler to kind of fill up the earlobes for people who are just bugged by their earlobes. And I do have a pic, a before and after. This isn't my before after. I just found like a stock before after tray. You toss that up there. Yeah. So yeah, the picture on the left, definitely an older person, the earlobe starting to collapse. Most people would be like, whatever, but this person didn't like it. They got some ear filler, and it does. It
definitely looks better.
Yeah, it definitely looks better. The other thing that filler's used for in the ears in the United States is to reinforce earring holes that have gotten too big. Because, if you wear heavy earrings, it can make the hole bigger.
Right.
And if you put filler underneath that, it supports it.
Yeah.
I've never done that personally, but it totally makes sense. I do a lot of earlobe repairs, actually.
Well, I've always wondered about the people that wear the plugs and the gauges.
Yeah.
And
So I've repaired one or two of those as well. The most common thing I do is if a woman has like a hoop earring and it gets pulled through.
Right.
It's kind of
tough.
tedious, very small technical work, but for me, pretty straightforward. I mean, I've done 50 of those probably over my career.
Just a little duct tape and super glue, right?
Yeah, no. but yeah, they're pretty easy to fix.
Yeah.
But this new trend in Asia is kind of wild. It basically uses filler to prop the ear out by putting it behind the cartilage layer. And I have a video of this that came off Instagram that talks a little bit about it. So we can roll that video, Trey.
Just told me this is one of the most commonly performed procedures that he does. Could not believe it. But I now see this everywhere on the Red app. I mean, fillers behind or into your ears. Like, that is unheard of here.
It's kind of crazy just watching it. The result I think they're trying to generate is create lateral structure.
Yeah.
But they don't want to augment their lateral cheeks because Asians often have prominent zygomas already. So instead, they hide it back here. In North America, with what's called a sneaky lift, and they inject into the temporal hairline.
Aside from the lifting effect, is it actually fans out your ear, and that creates a smaller face, because in Asia, the trend is all about having a smaller face. So having your ears fan out more creates the illusion that your face is actually smaller.
Right. To be totally honest, this is not a trade-off that I think Western audiences would make. I think a lot of pediatric plastic surgeons offer this when they see newborns that have this, and they offer surgery very young to repair it. But now in Asia, we're seeing people go the other way around and trying to create this look. But yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely interesting.
Crazy stuff. Well, and there's a couple of things to unpack about there. I mean, I snapped a before and after pic. Trey, throw that up there of that girl. Yeah, so this is I just clipped this from the video. And I mean, I do think the person on the right looks better, but also, too, she's had other stuff done. If you look closely, her jawline looks a little bit different, like the point.
Right.
Her jaw looks a little bit less pointy.
Lips.
Her lips have been filled, yeah. It looks like she's had her nose slimmed down a little bit, and obviously she's got makeup on. So, I don't know, this is almost a little bit deceptive
Yep.
because, yes, the person on the right looks better. I guess the question is does her face look thinner? I mean, I think it does. I do kind of agree that when the ears are prominent, it almost gives a slimming effect to the face. Not saying I would do this. In fact, I wouldn't do this for reasons I'll explain. But, I mean, I kind of see why they're doing it.
Well,
I don't know. What do you guys think?
The thing that popped in my head was the Zoom effect. Is that what they're calling it? Or
Zoom effect.
Yeah, with the meetings, we're online all the time. And,
yeah. Well, and that social media.
And that, yeah, social media, of course.
Do you think the Zoom effect is playing into these people in Asia? And
probably.
It could be. I mean, I think without question that you're right. I mean, that you can say that about almost all treatments. Is
right.
Zoom effect is, and we've talked about this a lot, that people being on Zoom, or what's the other one that you use?
I mean, there's
Skype, yeah, whatever.
Skype,
like
Teams,
if you have a little
whatever.
window that has your picture on it, you notice it. In fact, I did a media interview just last week for Zoom effect, which is funny because that was a hot topic a couple years ago. But everything like rehashes and recirculates. So I did a radio interview with this place out in Cincinnati, and they were talking about the Zoom effect. Well, I actually had a Zoom meeting like an hour before that, and I saw my picture and I was like, oh man, I got to get my next like laser treatment. And so the guys were like making fun of it, and then when I went on air, I was like, dude, you're not gonna believe this, but literally an hour ago I was like looking at myself on Zoom thinking that I need to go get a treatment.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. You have a group picture. Who do you look for first? You look for yourself. And you go, how do I look? Oh, I look fat in those pants, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I think it's really similar to, the filler. Let's do something different. No, we need to do less. No, do more. So,
oh man, the trends are always changing.
Trying to come up with something different.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It's probably I don't think that a person came to a doctor saying I want my ears to move forward. Like somebody came up with that as like a marketing gimmick. It's like, hey, if I protrude your ears like this, let's see. I'm gonna look at the camera. What camera is it? Like my face. Does my face look slimmer? I mean, maybe, I don't know. But the funny thing is. About this, well, let me go over some of the details. So the cost of this, 1 to 2 filler vials is going to cost you $400 to $800. So not insanely expensive. But my biggest concern is the risks, and let me tell you why. Because I don't have a problem injecting filler into like the lobule of the ear, or the lobe,
right?
Because that's not necessarily harmful. But when you're injecting in between the skin and the cartilage layer, that's potentially bad. Have you guys ever heard of cauliflower ear?
Yeah, wrestlers and
right. So cauliflower ear happens when people get blood caught in between the skin and the cartilage, and then it damages the cartilage, and then the cartilage grows abnormally.
Right.
It's like a reaction. So that would be my concern. Also, concern with killing the skin above the where you inject the filler, because it'll start to get really tense. So I look at this, I'm like, yeah, absolutely not would I do this. To me, it's just not worth it. It might work,
sense.
but like if something has risks that are significant, like I'm out. But what I was gonna say is about the crazy thing about this is, do you guys know that in the United States that there's a surgery to do the exact opposite of what they did?
No.
Yeah.
Of course not. Of course there is,
Yeah, well, so it's like, have you ever seen
Reverse
like
it.
a kid with really prominent ears?
Oh, yeah.
And then, their classmates make fun of them. So there's a procedure called otoplasty, which uses sutures or adjustments to the cartilage to actually pin back the ears. And Trey, I think I got a before and after. So this is basically going the exact opposite direction of what they did. Yeah, so this is an otoplasty patient. And, the prominent ears on the left were something that she didn't like, and so she got an otoplasty, and yeah, I mean, the ears are less prominent, but then it's like, okay, I don't know, her face looks thinner to me on the left. I think that they're right. If your ears are out, like, it makes your face look slimmer.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's like, well, what do you want? Do you want to have prominent ears? Or do you want to have a slim face? I don't know.
Right.
I think probably it's best if you just roll with what you got, but But if something bugs you, I mean, obviously as a plastic surgeon, I'm not going to tell people that they shouldn't get, if it's safe. Right. I don't know about the cartilage thing though. I think it's new enough that there's not enough data out there to tell you like what the exact risks are.
Right. Yeah. Well, I would be worried about hearing loss and things like that. And like you said, if you're not getting blood flow there,
I think your hearing probably would be safe because that's so internal.
Right.
That you'd have to have something seriously like you'd have to have like a rotting infection for your the hearing. But you're right. There are some definite risks.
Or you go to somebody that's done it once or twice.
Right.
So
they're injecting
always the concern.
Like the silicone from Home Depot into your ear.
Go. Yeah. I mean.
But I guess one of the things that's interesting to me about this is just that like how trends change and and maybe how they're different region to region. Because in the United States, you have people with prominent ears that are paying big money to get that reversed, and then in Asia you have people paying not maybe big money but paying money to have the prominent ears.
Right.
And it's just I don't know, I find that kind of stuff interesting, how trends change. And I mean, who knows, maybe that may trickle over into the United States. Like Asian culture is very popular in the United States.
Oh yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if this hits the US.
Yep.
I don't know. Like to me, well, nowadays people do all kinds of stuff that I don't agree with. But I just like the whole thing about injecting the cartilage. I'm a little wary about. So, but there's a lot of people less scrupulous than me out there that would do it. I'm sure.
Yeah. Sure. So
I'll
do it.
in a van down by the river.
Yeah. Exactly.
Trey, what do you think? Your cartilage adjustment? Is that?
I don't hate it. I
mean, it doesn't look bad. I don't hate it either. I worry.
Yeah.
Is it bad for you?
Yeah. I say just stick to elf ears. Just stick
to when I was researching this, elf ears came up again. I was looking to see if there's any new elf ear data out there. I don't know if you know this, Robert. We talk about elf, making elf ears. Yeah. I kind of am into that. Like I like the look of it.
Yeah.
And I've kind of been interested to maybe try that, but.
We got to bring it up at least once a season.
We bring it up about once every 3 months. Yeah.
Yep.
I was looking to see because there was a link in the article I was reading about the elf ear, and but there's nothing new out there. It was kind of old stuff. I don't think it hasn't hit me. I could be the person that makes it popular.
I mean,
there we go. Not?
I don't know. That first case you do is going to be the doozy. It's like, does it work? Does it not?
Right.
But so I think it's pretty interesting. So, all right, let me recap that one, Trey. So today on Nip Talk, we were talking about this new ear filler trend out of Asia, really popular in China and South Korea, for people to use fillers behind the ears in the cartilage to bring their ears out like this. There we go. I got it lined up. Because the thought process is if your ears are prominent, your face looks slimmer. And in Asian culture, having a slim face is very desired. And what's interesting is that in the United States, there's almost the opposite desire, because there's a surgery called otoplasty, where when people have prominent ears as kids and they get made fun of at school, there's a surgery to pin the ears back. After looking at the photos, I do think that the patient's face does look slimmer when the ears are prominent. I have a little concern about the safety of it. Injecting filler around the cartilage could have risks such as damage to the cartilage, which cause cauliflower ear or potentially death of the overlying skin. So I'm not sure how safe this is. It hasn't hit the United States yet, so I don't have a lot of data on it. But we'll be on the lookout for that. And I just do think it's interesting how trends can be in the complete opposite, whether it be in time frames or in regional. So we'll see how this goes.
Absolutely.
Ear filler. All right. Very good. Okay. Moving on. I don't know if you and I talked about this, Robert. I told Trey about this, but I was obsessed with the election, and not because I really was in love with any candidate, but I just was obsessed with the theatrics of the last election season. And it was a crazy election season for sure. But once the election ended, I kind of lost interest again and just, kind of got back to my normal routine. But I just recently got sucked back into politics when the internet became a buzz with Pam Bondi. Anybody know Pam Bondi?
No.
I've heard the name, and I've
heard the name. I've heard the name.
I've not met her, but I've seen her on TV.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yep.
So I knew the name. Like when I saw this article, And this is, so let me just jump in. This is a segment about Pam Bondi plastic surgery rumors. There's Pam Bondi right there. So Pam Bondi is 59 years old. She's an attorney, politician, was a Florida attorney general. She was Trump's lawyer in one of those trials where Trump was in trouble, or I don't know how you want to think about it, but when he was like in court.
Right.
I don't know which one.
She was hired as special counsel.
Oh, you know this?
To the I kind of watched some of the hearings.
Oh,
on
so
CNN.
are you like a closet like political junkie?
So, maybe, but more so like to have something in the background working, Zoom meetings, that sort of thing.
While I'm working, I like to have something to distract me.
She was actually special counsel to the White House.
Okay.
Not representing him,
okay.
as a person.
So she wasn't his personal
representing
attorney.
The president.
Yeah.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. So apparently Trump liked her because Trump picked her to be the Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General.
It's kind of a big deal.
That's a big deal. So her Senate confirmation hearing was this past week, which I obviously didn't watch, but I got sucked into it because social media had started blowing up about how great Pam Bondi looks. And so I had to look into this. Throw up her pick there, the next pick, Trey. Yeah. So, I mean, and that may be the best picture. I think I got another one in a minute. But I have to agree that for 60 years old, she looks really good, And even more interesting, so throw up that next pick, Trey, if you would. So she lost 50 pounds this past year, which I did a dive in that. I was like, did she take Ozempic?
Of course.
She did not.
No, nice.
Did not, yeah. Allegedly. I don't know for fact, but she says that she lost it with a good, strict diet and exercise. So hats off to her.
Sense. Yeah.
I have to say that for someone at 60, she looks great. But what's more kind of impressive is that anyone who loses 50 pounds generally is going to look older than they did.
Right.
Because it's the one kind of plus to having a little bit extra weight. It tends to make your face a little bit more round, which is honestly a more youthful look than if you're hollowed out.
Yeah.
And so I do think that she looks great for 60, but the fact that she recently lost 50 pounds and looks that great, I do think that the internet's talking about this is not just silly. I mean, sometimes people will talk about, so-and-so looks great. I'm like, okay. I mean, they look good, but this isn't, groundbreaking.
Right. And it makes sense. I mean, losing the weight or having the weight, kind of pushes the wrinkles out. So absolutely.
Totally. So for her to be 60 and have lost 50 pounds in the last year, I agree. She looks great. So everyone's talking about, has she had plastic surgery and this and that. So pull up the last photo again, Trey, and leave my mic on. Well, mic's on. So, I'm going to say a couple things that really kind of stick out to me about her. Like, number one, this girl has no wrinkles. You look at the areas where people commonly have age wrinkles, which is between the eyebrows, in the forehead, or the lateral eyes. She's 60 years old, and she has no wrinkles. All right, you guys are smart. How did that happen?
So for me, I'm going, well, there's a lot of makeup there because, the lights. But, I mean, a little bit of filler ain't going to hurt nobody, right? So
Trey, what do you think?
Botox?
There you go. Sorry, Robert. Trey's got the advantage, man.
What's the difference, filler and Botox?
Yeah, okay.
That's a different show, but
no, but hey, that's a great question. That's why I like having you and Sarah here to ask the questions that I just gloss over. So Botox is a neuromodulator, meaning it paralyzes muscles. So those wrinkles that normally appear in between the eyebrows, the forehead, and around the eyes are due to repetitive muscle movement. This lady has had Botox religiously for at least 20 years, if not longer.
Okay.
My wife, Robert, and she's not as old as Pam Bondi, but she has no wrinkles either, and she should at her age. And some of it's good genetics, but she's also been using Botox during those time frames when those wrinkles develop.
Right.
So this is a very, good example of what, using Botox consistently can do for you. She's 60 years old and she has none of the wrinkles that we normally see. And yes, you're right, Robert. I do think good lighting, good makeup, that all plays into it. But it ain't gonna fix wrinkles if you got them.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, I try to wear sunglasses so I don't get the crow's feet and things like that.
Hey, look at you, man.
Well,
Hey,
you know,
Botox is a new thing.
It is.
You and Trey could come in like next week, get that Botox. I could do a 2-for-1 special.
I don't know. We should video it, film it. Let's go live. Just saying. But yeah, no, I agree. She looks great. She's very well spoken. Sounds good. And that's what I was watching with some of the.
Oh, you were watching some of that, yeah.
You know, hearing and listening to the questions and comments. It's more background noise, but. Yeah. I agree. I wouldn't have guessed she was that age.
No, I wouldn't either.
You know, I remember when Sarah Palin was running for president, vice president.
Did you think she looked pretty young? I can't remember.
Well, it's just like better looking than these
than the old white guys.
Yeah. I mean, any of them. So, you know.
Did you know who I not to like derail my own segment. You know which politician I think is very attractive?
Which one?
AOC.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Man, she looks so good.
Yeah. So,
not that I would vote for someone on their looks, but
you know,
while we're talking about attractive politicians,
she's
got my vote. All right. The other thing I think that Pam Bondi has going for her is I think she's had a really good skincare regimen. You know, her skin to me does not look 60 years old. I think that she's probably been good about, you know, using cleansers, using moisturizers, and using sunblock. Because her skin quality is good.
Yep.
I do think she's probably had some filler, but I will say that I think she's got that, well, we were just literally talking about, which I think in the last segment, which is using filler subtly, because I can't tell that she has filler, but she should not have those cheekbones like she does after losing 50 pounds and being 60 years old.
Right.
She looks better than she should, but I can't say for sure she's had filler, so that means she's probably had really good filler. Someone did her a solid and just fixed the problem, but didn't make her look artificial.
Right. Well, and around the lips and, like you said, the eyes, where our muscles are moving the most.
Yeah,
you don't see much there.
And kind of weighing into that, Robert, because you're exactly right. She doesn't have a lot of the sagging of the face and neck that you would expect from one, somebody who's 60 years old, and two, somebody who just had a weight loss. And so it brings in the question of, do we think that she may have had a facelift or neck lift? Now, I actually flipped through some of her old photos. I never saw a drastic change in how she looks, so I'm going to speculate. I can say fairly confidently about the Botox and the fillers. I feel and the good skincare. I feel super confident about that. I feel almost as confident the fact that she has maybe not had surgery, but she's had some skin tightening procedures.
Okay.
You know, we have those in our office. They're treatments I use myself. My wife uses them. They are very effective. The two I like are radiofrequency microneedling, which the trade name is Morpheus, and then lasers, which we like Halo, but there's a lot out there. They are very good at tightening skin, and I think that almost certainly, given that she's 60 years old and that she had a weight loss, she has to have had something like that.
Well, and so you said surgery, and I'm like, oh, I guess so, but... surgery
I don't
in the
think,
sense of having the lasers.
So when I say surgery, I'm talking real surgery. So like facelift, neck lift. You know, that would be the kind of classic thing to change sagging in the face and neck.
But the tightening is more of the
non-surgical,
the lasers.
Yes. And I'm a big fan of those. Like I said, I literally use them every year. I mean, most people don't think I'm 50 years old. And, you know, some of that's genetics. But, I mean, using the lasers, you know, on the skin doesn't hurt. I mean, there's a lot of data to show that they're very effective. And so, yeah, I don't think she's necessarily had surgery, but I do think she's probably had some treatments.
Hey, I'll give it a shot. You know?
Dude, come on in, man.
Yeah.
I'll zap you.
There we go.
We'll cook you. I'm trying to get Trey to come in. He's like, nope. I'm out.
One of these days.
One of the days, yeah. We do the show long enough, Trey. Like, you know, as the years go by, you may change your tune, buddy.
Yes,
Absolutely.
All right. Let me recap this one. So today on Nip Talk, we were talking about Pam Bondi, the new U.S. Attorney General, who was doing her confirmation hearing this past week, and the internet was all abuzz about how awesome she looked. So I had to dive into this. I sworn off politics after the election, but I had to get back in to check this out. And I have to say, at 59, almost 60, Pam Bondi does look very, very good. And so people were asking if she had things done or had surgery. So I pulled up some pictures of her, did a deep dive. I think for sure she's had Botox pretty religiously because she has no wrinkles that people at her age should have. The other thing is, I think she's had some really good skincare regimens. Her skin does not look to be as old as she is, so I think she's been good about using cleansers, moisturizers, and sunblock. I do think she's had some fillers. You know, she's had a 50-pound weight loss recently, which would normally hollow out your face. And also, with being at her age, her face would be normally hollowed out. It is not. But also, it doesn't look overdone. So I think she's had some really good fillers, like fillers that fix the problem, but that don't make you look overdone or make you look like you've had something. I also think she's probably had some skin tightening procedures. Having a weight loss of 50 pounds, being almost 60 years old, you would expect some jowling of the face and neck, which she doesn't have. I didn't see a dramatic change like she's had a facelift, neck lift. I think she's probably leaned more towards non-surgical stuff like radiofrequency microneedling, like Morpheus or Halo, which are things we use in our office, and I do myself because they work so good. So yeah, I do agree. Pam Bondi looks fantastic. I don't think she's had a ton of surgery done, at least on her face, but I think she's had some procedures done, which is super common these days, and she looks great.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
Cool. All right. I think that's about it.
Yeah.
Dude.
That's
go ahead,
awesome.
Robert. What do you got?
I was gonna say, so the recovery on those lasers pretty easy.
Oh yeah. So So when you do a laser treatment, and it depends on which one you do. So I like Halo. So our Halo gives you 4 to 5 days of downtime, and by downtime it means your face will be swollen, peeling, red. People are gonna know you've had something done. The radiofrequency microneedling is a little bit less aggressive as far as recovery, like basically 24 hours of a little bit of swelling.
Right.
Yeah, both of those treatments are great. Like we have both machines. I've historically used Halo, but this year I started Morpheus. I've only done one treatment out of 3. So I did take some before. So I'm gonna, when I finish my treatments, I'll do a little segment on my thoughts on Morpheus.
Absolutely, that'd be
so.
fun.
And if you want to come down, Robert, I got you. Or you can get that Brotox, man.
Yeah, I don't know. You know,
I need it too. Like I'm with you. Like we're there, man. Trey's a little bit younger. He don't have to worry just yet. He's probably pretty
there
good.
You go.
So
there you go.
All right. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Please leave us a comment. If you want us to talk about a specific topic on Nip Talk, we will do it. Leave us that comment, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Good day.
Yeah, Trey, you got the bye.